Hello, everybody, and welcome to our systems test debrief of Call of Cthulhu, where we have just finished our playthrough of the Saturnine Chalice. I'm Nick, the system admin, and I am joined by Pav
Hello.
and Jay,
Hello.
or Reginald Miles and Eamon Murphy, was it?
Eamon Macaulay.
Macaulay. I went very broadly Irish there, didn't I? Apologies. Yeah, so
Well, I can only apologise for my accent
I
through
think
that recording.
you're a man of the worlds. That's all. That's all we put it down to.
Switching between the whole of east, northeast,
There was some
south.
Texas in there, I think,
Yeah,
somewhere.
there
some
was
Louisiana drawl
yeah,
too.
there was
Yeah.
definitely a weird mix.
No, that was
of accents.
yeah.
So
So what?
I hope no one has
That's
been offended.
what did you both think of the scenario of Call of Cthulhu in general? I know we've played it before, but I like it as a system, and I really liked this scenario.
Yeah,
It was a fun one.
I enjoyed
to
it for
run.
sure.
Yeah.
This was the sanity was a concern of mine going in because I knew I'd already rolled pretty low on my sanity. So I was concerned I was going to go insane very quickly, but I was kind of prepared for it, and I thought, well, I could have fun with my character if he does go insane. Like, just give him a complete flip over to what he is saying. So obviously, he's very bookish, quite knowledgeable, quiet and focused. Whereas the second he went insane, I thought, you know what, let's flip this over. He's gonna, reject everything that he once stood for and embrace what he was formerly disgusted by, like aggression, rage, violence. Just, I think he in his insane moment, he felt like books weren't getting the job done, so he just had to destroy and anything that stood in his way to get out.
Well, I think that's the fun thing
yeah.
about this, isn't it? Is that what is mostly would be given as a negative in other games, going insane, gives you a chance to make the story more fun and explore different sides of your character and to really encourage the thing to go off the rails because these things escalate, and it escalated quite quickly once tongues started getting chopped out.
I think it was very poetic when the gun breaks, because this is, as part of my character's backstory, it was something that he'd stolen from his father as an act of defiance, and also to hold something of power that maybe he could have some of that for himself. And the fact that he breaks and in his insane state just doesn't even care, just like, well, I'll just switch to the knife then. Just move on.
Yeah.
That, I think that kind of shows how his character's grown, since being a child, and all those insecurities that he had, all his daddy issues, that like when his mind's finally broken enough, that that's when they say, like, to when you break something down and rebuild it. Obviously what he's rebuilt it into is something entirely different and horrifying to the
Yes.
Eamon, but to him it's like a rebirth, which I found
Yeah.
quite interesting.
It was a shame that he didn't get a chance to really explore his newfound lack of sanity, but now he can live on forever, dancing to the mad tunes. But yes,
Indeed. Yes, when I was offered the position of seeing God for a few seconds, Reginald was like, "Well, I think he thought he knew everything, right? So he probably in his mind think, yeah, I can handle that. I'll see God and face him as an equal." And then no.
like that as an equal part. That's very Reginald, isn't it? Yeah. Nice.
Who, Reginald or very Pav?
There's an element of all of us in the characters we play.
Delusions of grandeur.
Yeah.
in life and in character.
Indeed. And yeah, Jay, what did you think about it all?
Yeah, I really liked it. I think the situation, the sort of the module, the one shot, whatever you call it, the sort of story, I thought that was really good. I thought it was good to, like, it's an old trope, right? You're trapped in a house or in a place, but actually I think it works really well in this universe where like it isn't you know, a bartender doesn't necessarily have a good reason to be like hunting. Like the whole point is we're not heroes. We're not like people who like, you know, are trying to like hunt down evil and expunge it from this world. So like I liked the sort of like accidental occasion and then being trapped because like first instinct is survival when it really comes down to it.
That's it. You're ordinary people with very different skills thrown
Yeah.
into a situation that you have to deal with.
Yeah. So I thought the storyline was really good for like capturing us and then like
Yes.
forcing the resolution.
It's a really, really tricky module, and I listened to a couple of playthroughs of it, and you guys got pretty much the same ending that most people get. There
Really?
is, it's really tricky. Like it's really
I feel
tricky.
like we could, if Reginald hadn't have been insane, I feel like I maybe could have got through with the like, do we trust these voices? And then would have tried to bring the four, find two other objects with the same markings and bring them together into one room. I don't know if that would have solved it, but yeah, it's
It would,
tough. Oh yeah.
it would have led to another resolution.
Okay. Yeah.
So
we went straight to Smash. I do like the fact that it was a one shot because it meant that I didn't play it as safe as I would, knowing that, well, if my character dies now, if I spent so much time, then the next time we play, then starting again is like, no, I don't care. Let's play properly. If I go,
a bit
I'm
more
going
brutal when it's a one shot as well. Like I can play things more brutally on my side than I could if it was a campaign. So there is a skill that this thing had that could have been cost you D100 sanity points. So it's quite says encourages you to bust this out. But yeah, I think we saw
as in like the low. What I don't know.
that demon playing on us.
It would be interesting to understand the difference between like the everyday demon that we fought, the weird thing that was phasing, versus like the end demon. Is it the same thing?
I can tell you basically what happened if you want. Like, so the whole, and that's what I quite like about these scenarios as well, is that
we didn't win.
Very rarely do you discover the whole truth.
I saw God. I think that's winning.
Yeah, but the thing with this, it's like you guys thought you knew what happened, and you got quite a lot of the evidence to know what happened, but you didn't. The last bit, and there was very much me playing as. So it was a weird. The way this one is set up is that the DM effectively is this summoned creature for this, because they. If you want to know the story of it, and spoilers to anybody who is wanting to play this, even though you've just listened to it, what happened was Evangeline, who is Augustus's wife, died in childbirth, and you never found out her name, but she was the one in the portraits above the fire next to Augustus. Blah blah blah. She died in childbirth with Veronica. He really withdrew, didn't do that, and fell into the occult. He discovered the Abramelin operation through that book, the English version, and he tried it. It didn't work, and then he was like, well, clearly the book is wrong. So then put out into the occult circles that actually he wanted to find correct translations of it, which Lester Goodman found him, sold him that book, and sold him the lantern, which was a beacon of chaos. When the ritual was done, instead of summoning the guardian angel, the beacon of chaos lit and summoned this creature from Azathoth's court, which then said to him, do you want to see the face of God? And he went, yeah, why not? And he is joining Reginald there, dancing around in the pipes of all the fun and games. Veronica was traveling.
As in Augustus,
yeah. So he lost all his sanity and died in that. Veronica was traveling abroad during that. She was contacted. So Jeremiah and Rosemary were sent away for an extended period of leave. They came back. They found him dead, called Veronica. She came back. She conducted the ritual, but put this seal in place so that if it were to come back, she wanted proof that Lester Goodman had sabotaged him. And when she summoned the same thing, she basically said, "I've put those seals are in place there. This thing can't get out. If I catch it, I can make it talk." She summons it. It starts to steal her memories, but before being able to steal the memory of what the ward was, she kills herself. So it's trapped there. Jeremiah and Rosemary return home. It steals all of Jeremiah's memories and drives Rosemary insane. And then it's trapped now. So everything you saw was its illusion, basically, for you, and everything you heard. And so everything that it was telling you and trying to carry out was based on memories it had stolen from people there.
Interesting.
Yeah. So if you had brought the 4 wards together, it would have been really tough to do, but you could have banished it.
So we didn't banish it at all.
You set it free.
Yeah,
I just threw a gun at its face. That was
no. So that was it. So what it had done, it pretended it had a cover story and basically said the cover story was, "Oh, the summoning went wrong. We summoned a demon, and it was in the shape of Augustus's wife, Evangeline. We summoned a demon, and the demon is torturing us, and it's doing this all over again. And this has all been orchestrated by this creature." And so it basically was led to make you believe that Evangeline was the real threat. And when it was banished, Evangeline put something in place, and you had to break the seals to free the spirits. And then it was like, haha, suckers. And got out that way.
So we basically
and now it hates humanity, and it's gone to wreak havoc out in the wild.
So instead of winning, we've utterly failed.
Yeah.
Well, you've reached a conclusion. That's all, and I think that's sometimes failing is interesting, and it's very It's a very Lovecraftian ending. One of you being institutionalized, one of you dying, and the great evil creature that has trapped you being set free. It's an excellent Lovecraftian ending. You should be very proud.
Nice. Is this one based on one of his actual stories?
No, I don't think it is. I think it's just a standalone one. But
interesting.
Yeah, it's a really good module, and it's so tricky though. And that's why I kind of was like, because I interrupted you before you got that last book, and so when we spoke a bit earlier, I was like, "Oh, you found a certain number of books." I didn't want you to feel cheated. I wanted you to have all the information for it.
Yeah.
But I was, and so there were a couple of bits where I was like, I wasn't sure I was feeding you enough information at the right times, or feeding it to you too quickly, that sort of thing. So it was a tough balance to strike, because I didn't want you to, I don't know, either not see all the cool little scenes they had planned out for you, all that fun. But yeah,
that's good fun.
No, yeah. I mean, so. Is there anything particularly that you enjoyed? Anything that jumped out that we didn't see last time when we played, based on the way the game works itself? I think we saw a good bit of how sanity goes.
Yeah, I think sanity, and also I like the fact that even though I didn't have a proficiency in fighting, I still did that, and if you get the roll right, you are quite successful. Yeah, I wasn't obviously expecting the malfunction. I was really guessing that I rolled a 0. That means I'm perfect. It's a dead shot.
Oh, 001, I'm afraid. 000 is 100. No, I'm gonna throw these dice away because I did not roll below a 50.
Get Paz dice.
Exactly.
I can't believe you weren't trained in Brawl and did 4 successful Brawl attacks.
Yeah, these are the dice that have only I bought these in the pandemic, and they've only seen action on our D&D weekend away.
Nice.
Since then.
Oh, and the demon, by the way, was using your stats whenever it would attack you or dodge or anything. So that's why it didn't really have a good time doing fighting brawls against Pav, especially because I was like, "Oh, I've got to fucking do that." Okay, yeah, fine. Because it wasn't real; it was all this thing. So yeah,
interesting.
But yeah.
Were you expecting Reginald's killing spree?
No, but luckily I had enough replacements if I needed. And actually, it was quite good. Yeah, it was quite good that you two split up, because then I could do some extra creepy shit and steal some memories and showcase that, which I hadn't really had a chance to. Your intelligence comes back eventually, by the way, Eamon. You will eventually get your full intelligence back. Not the memory, though. The memory's
you've got to go back to school.
Yeah, no, that's the education. I just don't understand. I like the idea that as my intelligence finally reverts, I'm come to in this mental ward, being like,
Yeah.
now I'm smart enough to understand what the hell is going on with me.
I'm really glad you rolled that 7. It was excellent because it was on the extended Bouts of Madness. So you rolled the D10 and
Yeah.
7 was institutionalized, and I was like, that's perfect, because 1 was like amnesia, which would have been fine too.
Yeah.
Like robbed, battered, violence, ideological beliefs, flee and panic. I think, but the fact that your mind just broke at that moment is it's perfect.
I handled my shit all the way up to that point, and then
And then you're like, I genuinely, and it's that revelation that as everything has dawned on you, that everything you thought you were doing was not. Yeah, and I think it just tells a good story. It's great.
Yeah.
I think my mind's blown even post game, because I don't think I really understood while we were playing that. Because I clearly read 4 things brought together, and it's like, oh, we got 2. Let's just smash it. It's when Eamon went smash it. It's like, okay, well, let's do the same then, shall I? See what happens. If I break this.
Nice. No, it's a really tricky one. But I think you did a good job. Well, to be fair, you got D3 sanity points because you destroyed the Beacon of Chaos. So there you go.
Wait, so I'm
so
only
I would have gone insane.
You still would have gained it, but you still would have lost that many in a day. So
did I get +3 for destroying the ox?
No, you would.
Oh yeah, so you're at -83 instead of -85 or whatever you would have been at.
Nice.
It was good for that. And for rolling how much intelligence you lost. I rolled quite well on those. That was 3d10. But so sorry to circle back. Was there anything that you saw that we didn't last time? I guess, was there any mechanics that you particularly enjoyed? Anything that jumped out at you that was good in playing?
I enjoyed the character creation. I think the randomness of it is a bit not as hard as like Ronin. Ronin was like super random. But like the stats all being random means that you more like you get the stats and then you work out what character you're playing rather than like you think you want to play character X and then roll the stats. I think the way that then the skill that flowed to then to choosing all the skills worked really well. And then so then when you're playing, it felt very intuitive to me. The whole play system, I felt like, even though there are loads of skills, it's actually easier because you only trained in like 10 of them. So really you can kind of ignore the rest because you're not going to succeed for the most part as a player. And so then I felt like it was actually a much more like, it felt very intuitive as like a game system of like once you actually get going, they're like literally just 2 dice. You're rolling percentages, just roll under the score. The score is the score. Like it just, I do really enjoy both the simplicity of it, but it also feels very satisfying from a like, I was going to say from a statistics perspective. What I mean is like it feels very satisfying from like you are genuinely good at what you're good at, and you are much more likely to succeed at the things that you've invested points in and are therefore good at, and you're not likely to succeed at stuff that you're not very good at. And I kind of really enjoy.
And you're not likely to succeed well at those things either.
Yeah, God.
Whereas you're much likely to do better at the things you have a high percentage in, which is good for sure.
100%. So so I thought it was a very intuitive system from like, and I know we've played a bit, but it's not like we've played loads. I've played like a couple of hours of another session. And shout out to the Apocalypse players who I think do a fantastic job of role playing this on podcasts. Definitely worth listening to if you enjoy Cthulhu.
Yeah, they have covered this scenario as well, and definitely a massive inspiration for wanting to play this.
How did they do?
As in Cthulhu, they had a very interesting time. They ended up releasing the thing as well. There's lots of badness. I would recommend listening to it if you. And it would be really. I think I will now. You should to see what you would think about versus what they did versus what I did as well. You see, so
I personally, you can edit this out, wouldn't recommend listening to other podcasts on our own. Listen to us and us
Yeah,
only.
listen to us first. Yeah, exactly.
Us and
yeah,
us
Pat,
only.
was there anything for you that you particularly liked about this at all?
I think, again, I opened with the instruction that I'm all about more about the story than the gameplay. Obviously, the gameplay is a big part of it, but the thing that has to catch me first is a good story. I'm still improving on my role playing, but getting involved in that side of the story is what I kind of enjoy, what I want to work on. I get invested in my characters, as you know. Some of them may have similar traits spanning across all game systems,
Bloodlust.
but daddy issues.
The thrill.
Exactly. Though I did try and be different and, not have the bloodlust in this one. I thought, no, I want to be a librarian. I thought I wanted to be a librarian before I even rolled the stats. And then as they came out, I was like, this is perfect for a librarian. A weedy guy
Nice.
that's really bookish, brains over brawn, and then decided, you know what, just flip it. Now he's insane. Like he's just gone rogue.
No, it's a cool way to do it for sure. Yeah. I think I really like it. There's a couple of bits that I need to get quicker at if I'm going to run it more, and I think it's damage, how damage works. If we want to do maneuvers, because there's a whole thing about maneuvers where it's all based on like your build gives you different advantages. So there's definitely a load of. So if you wanted to,
Interesting.
I don't know, like
so it's a lot more complex at your end.
there's some complexity stuff. So if you wanted to say throw somebody off a building rather than just a fighting brawl for a punch, if you want to grab somebody and then throw them, you have to perform a maneuver, and then depending on how big they are versus how big you are, that can impact how well you do at it. The combat is pretty simple, but then shooting rules can be quite complicated for this because you get bonus dice or penalty dice depending on your range, depending on what level of gunfire you use. So if you do like semi-auto versus a full auto blast, it gets a bit more of a breakdown. And so I'm glad we didn't really encourage those or encounter those situations. And all the shots you did as well, I was quite comfortable with them being mostly, and you rolled well on those gunshots. They were all going to be pretty fatal because firstly, these things weren't real, and secondly, you were point blank, which should have got you a bonus dice anyway. And I don't know if it gives you a damage bonus as well. So there's definitely some bits that I need to brush up on, which I would have liked to think I would have done if those things would have come up. But yeah, there's some quite interesting levels of complexity in there, and the rule books are huge. That is something I will say. Like the Keeper's book is 450 pages, and the Investigator book is 290. So again, a lot of those are examples, just like the Dunwich Horror is one of the stories in there. Like it's all broken down pretty nicely. But I think it's a really fun one. I'd definitely play it again.
Nice.
I guess, is there anything else you guys want to add before we move on to Jay's favourite section?
Yeah, so just before that, I think the other thing, and I think we talked about this off mic, but like the other element is that this is the thing that I feel very satisfied with the system and I really enjoy it. The thing it doesn't offer is player progression. So it doesn't offer that like a sense of betterment about yourself.
Actually, you can actually progress certain skills. There is a if you're doing a campaign afterwards, you can progress skills that you have used, and there is a measure of doing that, and that's something again I would have to read up on. But it basically you have to roll over that skill, and if you do, you can increase it by a certain amount.
Yeah. But it's like it's minimal. It's not like getting extra skills out of nowhere, I assume.
Yes, I believe so.
So I think
so you're right. Your characters will. Yeah, go on.
But it's incremental improvement from where you are.
Yes.
It's not like doubling of like your abilities.
Yeah. Well, actually, tell a lie. You both gained 5 Cthulhu Mythos, and did you go? And your maximum sanity would be reduced by 5 because Pav, you went insane just the once and then died. I'm afraid. So yes. So if you want Eamon to come back in a future adventure, I would mark that he has 5 Cthulhu Mythos and has lost 5 maximum sanity.
Love to, yeah.
If he gets out of the
insane
once
asylum.
He seeks some therapy, he might be willing to get out there again.
Just tell them you're not crazy and you imagined it all and none of it was real and you accept that now.
Yes, I'll have the lobotomy, please. Thank you.
And what does Cthulhu Mythos get me?
It basically is a means of you could roll it as a skill to try and find out things that you wouldn't normally be able to know. So where maybe an occult roll might do it, with Cthulhu Mythos, you could say, I'm really stuck here. So in that last scenario, you could go, what does this actually look like it's doing? What could I do to do it? And if you rolled under your Cthulhu Mythos, you could use it in that respect. It's basically your experience with the weird and wonderful stuff there.
Yeah, fair.
Whereas I tried to start the game by giving myself Cthulhu Mythos as like one of my random stats.
Yes. Yeah, and that's one of the things. There's a couple. That's one of the weird outliers that it's not helpful in that it says buy stats and buy everything else. And actually, you have to explicitly read in Cthulhu Mythos that you can't buy it. You have to earn it through your blood, sweat, and tears.
Nice. Well, it was nice knowing Reginald.
Yeah, he's going to have a great time dancing for all eternity. So, we move on to crit or miss. And Pav, would you give Call of Cthulhu 7th edition a crit or a miss?
I will give it a crit.
Very good.
Thoroughly enjoyed it and would play again.
Excellent. And Jay, because you don't like the system, or not the system, don't like this element of ranking, how many crits out of 5 would you give it, and how many misses out of 5 would you give it?
Well, I'm really confused. Like,
well,
5
you wanted some
back-to-back
sort
crits.
I don't know. You wanted some sort of scale of measure, and I've given it to you. So
okay, I think I like 5 out of 5. Yeah, I think this is a solid system. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy how much it encourages storytelling. I really enjoy the like straightforwardness of the stats. I think for me, this wouldn't be a like let's play this for like a year or like 2 years as a long form campaign. I don't think this would like scratch that itch for me because there isn't that like individual player like hero.
You mean you don't want to play the Masks of Nyarlathotep, which I have sat in front of me that I've owned for years, which is supposedly the best Call of Cthulhu campaign out there. But that's fine.
So why didn't we start with that one?
It spans continents, people. It's crazy.
I'm not against like a long form campaign, but like with this specific system, like I love the like era, I love the like the sort of the setting, the like Lovecraftian nature of it, the brutality of it. But I just like at the end of the day, you're people playing relatively realistic people, and
yes.
there are pros and cons to that.
Yeah, for sure. It's not the escapist hero fantasy that you get from other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I see that. Cool. And for me, I give it a crit. I'm massively biased. I love it. It's great. I had a really good time, and I'm glad you managed to. I'm glad you managed to get there. I'm glad we managed to steer the ship to the ending. That's always the bit I worry about with these sorts of things, especially DMing, when you know there's certain beats to hit. It's how do you manage to get those beats? But no, I liked it. It's good. Plus, I got to do funny voices, which is always fun.
Yeah, I might get a Lovecraft book and read some of the stories. I've been inspired.
There's a big collection that's just called the Necronomicon. There are better ones than others. It's quite a chunky tome. And there's some, I can recommend some. And with that, I think that draws our playthrough of Call of Cthulhu to a close. Thank you, everybody, and hopefully you'll join us for the next one. Systems Test, signing out. If you want to know more about the podcast, follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky, searching Systems Test.